I'm Donna, author of Character Quality Language Arts and Meaningful Composition. I also blog at Character Inc. and Raising Kids with Character, as well as Language Lady. Today I would like to introduce or reintroduce you to our series of books from Character Inc. Press called Meaningful Composition. The first video that you're seeing, first of several, is going to be just describing meaningful composition. So if you've never seen meaningful composition, this video is for you. Hopefully you have a sample book in front of you. If you are a vendor or a curriculum provider, you hopefully have this book. It's orange and it says sample book on it, meaningful composition at the top. If you are watching this video on YouTube or some other place and you do not have access to the sample book, I will refer to the samples at the Character Inc. store and also the blog that you can see. First of all, just in that vein, Meaningful Composition has 2-week samples of each book, and those are available at Character Inc. store, and so you can actually try before you buy. And so if you do not have this sample there, you can take a look at those as well. So just to get started with the Meaningful Composition, before the next video, which is going to tell you some of the new features of it, since we've been revising for a couple of years, let me give you the history of Meaningful Composition first. 15 years ago, I began writing a complete language arts program for a homeschool provider out of Chicago, Illinois. And that was a program that had all elements of language arts in it, and it was specific just to that company. In other words, you had to use their curriculum in order to purchase that. A few years later, we branched out and we used that as our basis and started our own small press, Character Inc. Press, and wrote Character Quality Language Arts, using some of the character materials and things that we had used with that other publishing company as our basis. When we developed Character Quality Language Arts, it was actually made because people seemed at that time to want an all-in-one. We had a lot of families who were large families using our programs, and they were having to get a separate writing, editing, grammar, spelling, vocabulary, all of those programs, and they had stacks of books and so forth. So Character Quality Language Arts was an all-in-one language arts program. And then we started selling Character Quality Language Arts and getting out there and speaking more, and we discovered that some people really wanted that, but the people who didn't want that didn't want it at all, because they didn't want to do all elements of language arts at the same time. And so we regrouped and took out the writing portions of CQLA, because what we found was that people who would see CQLA, who would try our samples, our 1-month samples at our store, they said, I love the writing portions, I love how directed it is, I want to just use the writing parts. And so we pulled those out and started making Meaningful Composition. So that's actually how Meaningful Composition began about 10 years ago. And so since that time, we started out with just a few Meaningful Composition books and sold those, and Rainbow Resource also carries those, and started out really testing our books. My son Joshua and I, he's our oldest child, he's 33 and majored in history, and he and I together have really developed further the whole Meaningful Composition program until now we have, as of January 1st, 2016, 1 book per semester from 4th grade through 11th grade. And that is why we're presenting it now to vendors and curriculum providers, because now is the time when we have all of those grades filled in from 4th through 11th, and so we don't have any gaps in the program. So you can begin adding it to something else, a whole curriculum. If you have a whole unit study curriculum, Meaningful Composition would go well with something like that. So as of January 1st, we will have all of those books ready. We're just in final edits of some of the 4th and 5th grade books now. And then we will have, in April of 2016, the 2nd and 3rd grade books, our babies, as I like to call them. And so today I'm going to be talking to you about the 4th through 11th grade Meaningful Composition books. And we have a lot of the features that we used to have in Meaningful Composition in our original books in our expanded program. First of all, we have meaningful, fun projects. We have a large variety of projects. So students are not just writing about a certain topic, or they're not just writing a certain type of writing. And this really whets the appetite to students, for students to enjoy writing more when they start out writing things that they really like and things that they enjoy. If you open your sample book to the table of contents, this sample book actually has some projects out of the 4th through 6th grade books, some projects out of the 6th through 8th grade books, and some projects out of the 9th through 12th grade books, primarily the 8th and 9th grade books here at the end, because our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade books are extremely specific books for college preparation. And so what you have here is samples from each of the different levels and types of levels of books, and then within each one we have different types. So you'll be able to see a little bit of all of meaningful composition with this sample book. And then if you turn your page, you will find that we have how to use meaningful composition books. This how to use meaningful composition books, followed by choosing the right meaningful composition books for your student, followed by the overview of each book, is all provided for you also. All of those elements are provided for you at the Character Inc. Press store and the blog. So you can look at those at any time, even if you don't have this book in front of you. So let me just walk through a little bit more of the sample. All of the meaningful composition books are all in one. You do not need any other books, you don't need any other answer keys, any other videos. Everything you have is in this book. It is all directed writing, and so with that it explains everything. It is a work text in a lot of ways until they write their papers, then they write those on paper or else type them. But it is a work text and it's all inclusive. So if you get a meaningful composition book, that's all you need for you and your student. It has some teacher notes in it, and it has all of the details that your student will need to complete every project. As I mentioned before, there are 2 books for each level. And so if you could walk with me over to the choosing the right meaningful composition books for your students, this gives you some ideas of how the books fall. On the back of that, there are boxes that show remediation for middle schoolers who have very little writing experience, remediation for high schoolers, creative writing for junior high students and high school students, essay writing for junior high and high school students, and research report writing for junior high and high school students. This helps you know how to start a student in meaningful composition. So with that, you can see that if your student doesn't have much experience or needs remediation, there's an order to the books that you might go in. The same thing is true with remediation for high school, or if you want to get into creative writing, it tells you the order that those fall in, and the order of the essay writing and the order of the research writing. So this gives you an idea of where to start with meaningful composition. I would like for you to flip over to an overview. The overview pages look like this. So hopefully you can see this, but if not, it's okay. It's right in your book. But I want to draw your attention to these because these overview pages will help you a lot in determining your meaningful composition books. So I have on my left Meaningful Composition 4.2, put those paragraphs together, that overview of that book. On the right, I have Meaningful Composition 5.1, Writing for Real, the overview for that book. And you can see again that there are 2 semesters of each book. So 4.1 is a first semester book, 4.2 is a second semester book, 5.1 is a first semester book, 5.2 is a second semester book. Now, we divided our books up in that way so that you could use 1 book per semester, or you could spread out 1 book over the entire year if you don't want to be as aggressive in your writing program. We also did that so that you could start with any first semester book at any time. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, you can jump in. If your student is a strong 7th grade writer, you could jump in at 7.1, learn all of our methodology, have a little bit of everything because each first semester book has essays, stories, and research reports all in each first semester book. So you can jump in any place at your child's writing level. Or if you have a 7th grader, but that 7th grader isn't that advanced at writing, you could go back and jump in at 5.1. And so it doesn't matter where you begin, we just recommend that you begin with a first semester book. And then the second semester books are specific. So looking again at this 4.2 and this 5.1, the top of each overview gives you the projects that are contained and the skills that that book contains. At the bottom, it tells you other books in the Meaningful Composition series. So you can see 2.1, 2.2, 3.1, 3.2, just a list of all of those. And then 5.1 is another first semester book, and it has all the projects listed at the top and all the books below. If you flip over, you'll notice that 5.2 is a creative writing book. Creative and Clever is what it's called. And so after you've done a first semester book, the second semester books up until 8th grade, actually up until 9th grade, all are type specific. So after you do a first semester book, if your student really loves creative writing, you can jump into the creative writing books. If your student really loves the research, you can jump into a research report writing book. So let's back up just for a minute to the page that has the boxes with the suggested books depending on what you're wanting. Remediation for middle schoolers who have very little writing experience, that suggestion of book order. Remediation for high schoolers. But then when you jump down, you can see creative writing, essay writing, research writing. So once you've done a first semester book, you can jump into any of these and just really delve into the type of writing that your student enjoys. Or if you're preparing for something like the SAT or ACT or college writing, for college research writing, that type of thing, you can jump in. So you can see in these boxes under the creative writing for junior high school and high school students, all of our creative writing books are listed there, and you can jump into any of those. For essay writing, we have essay only books listed there as after you do a first semester book. And then for research writing, we have a lot of our research books listed there. So it doesn't matter where you start in Meaningful Composition, and then once you're started, we have something for everyone.